Hi, everyone. This is Sybil Starr with the What's Happening in Astrology report for January. We have two major events in January, and I'm really only going to talk about one today. I'm going to have a second video later in the month with the full moon lunar eclipse. So what I'm going to talk about today is the partial new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn on January 5th at 5:28 p.m. Pacific time. And like all solar eclipses, this one will bring change, especially to those people who have planets around 15 degrees of the cardinal signs, which are Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, and Aries. And it's really about a 3-degree orb on either side. So any planets basically from 12 degrees to 18 degrees of the cardinal signs, any planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, not as much the outer planets, but the inner planets may bring some real change in your life, some unexpected change. And eclipses often bring things that are hidden to light. So, and this is a south node solar eclipse. So solar eclipses are often about new beginnings, but with the south node solar eclipse, something needs to be released before the new beginning can happen. So this solar eclipse, which has an impact for about at least up to a year or more for those who have planets from 12 to 18 degrees of the cardinal signs. And usually what will happen is something will happen within 90 days of the actual eclipse. That's something that is life-changing on some level. For the rest of us, it still has impact because it falls in a house and impacts an area of life, and it's just in the cosmos that there is change happening. And at this solar eclipse, new moon solar eclipse, there are 5 planets in Capricorn. And so a new moon is a new beginning. It is the planting of a seed, but Capricorn is very much about hard work, reaping what you sow, accountability, planning and preparation, maturity and character. So it's like the planting of the seed. It's really important that the ground has been taken care of properly to give that seed every possible chance it can to grow. So in this Capricorn time, which is very much about manifesting, as Capricorn and Saturn really rule the 3D world and the world of form. And these are the signs where everything is made real, or Saturn is. He's the planet that makes everything real. And what I should say, which I guess I didn't, is the 5 planets that are involved, which is the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Saturn, and Pluto. And Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, and so very, very strong here. And so, yes, Saturn makes everything real. Without Saturn, everything remains a dream. So it's very much a time of manifesting and implementing. But the key is, one of the other spiritual laws of Capricorn and Saturn is about reaping what you sow, that there is a consequence for every action. So just like I said, it is the time of planting a new seed for things to grow and flourish. But with Capricorn, it really asks the question, did you take care of that soil well? And the analogy is, did you prepare and plan well for what it is you want to manifest? Such as like, and in this time to definitely, to create a business plan, to make sure you have the space that you need to do what you want to do. So it really is about creating on the physical realm with Saturn and Capricorn. And it requires hard work. This is a time of hard work. A Saturn and Capricorn time is like putting an IKEA project together. There are directions and you have to follow them. It's not a particularly intuitive process. It is very much about paying attention as to what you're doing, how you're creating it, and following the instructions. It's like you can't get ahead of yourself. Saturn does not like missteps. Well, there can be no missteps. If you've gotten ahead of yourself, just like an IKEA project, if you missed a step, you have to go back to the beginning or go back to where you got off track so that you can get back on track and align with the direction you want to go and with your inner truth. Saturn and Capricorn is very much about wisdom that has been accumulated through living, and that inner truth that you carry, that integrity. And so with all these planets in Capricorn, it's very much a time of manifestation and hard work, and reaping what you sow. It's like the cosmic paycheck. You're only going to get out of anything of as much as what you put into it. And in Saturn times, you're going to get paid 40 hours pay for working 40 hours. And if you don't work those 40 hours, you're not going to get 40 hours of pay. That's just how it works. Saturn times are about mountains to climb, individually and collectively. And I'll talk next about what's going on collectively. But first is just about our individual lives. That when in Saturn times, and it's the symbol for Saturn is the mountain goat. And so the mountain goat is always climbing to the top of the mountain. And the key is that when you're in a Saturn time, you have a mountain to climb, and how good you're going to feel when you have that accomplished. When you get to that mountaintop and you can look all around. If you have a mountain to climb and you don't do it, it can bring on depression and sadness and guilt and, and just not feeling very good. So it's kind of like, just do it and just go do what you have to do. Saturn often brings to us things we don't really want to do. But yet, if we have a goal, if there's something we need to accomplish, there are steps we need to take, and we just have to do it. And it's about maturity. It's about being a grown-up. Our ancestors, when this time of year here in the Northern Hemisphere, the dark time of the year came around, they had to have prepared well for the winter to survive. And they had to really manage the resources that they had to get through the winter. And even though we don't have that particular situation for the most part, Capricorn and Saturn really is about tightening our belt and being careful with our resources. Now, there is a Saturn and Pluto conjunction at this time, and it's within 10 degrees. It's the beginning of a new Saturn-Pluto cycle, which they have a conjunction approximately 3 times a century, or around 34 times every 34 years. And it is starting a new cycle of responsible use of power. And so there are some guidelines for this. And Rick Tarnas, a very famous astrologer, said that when Saturn and Pluto conjuncted, we would be going through the eye of the needle. And so it's very much about lining up with our integrity personally and collectively. And one more thing I want to say about Capricorn is that it's since it is a time of accountability and responsibility, on a personal level, it's important to take responsibility for your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and rather than blaming others. There's this really great prayer going around. It's a version of the Serenity Prayer. And it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the people that I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that it is me. And so on a collective level, we see a whole, here in the United States, we have a whole new Congress coming in with some bold new ideas. And we've got some very serious problems to address. Collectively, we are reaping what we have sown as well, such as climate change, war, homelessness, income disparity, refugees. We have got a lot of things to address. We have sown a lot of seeds of suffering and misery, and they are coming back. It's karma, because Saturn is the Lord of karma. And so during this time, for us to move into higher dimensions of consciousness, we need to get our affairs in order. We need to get lined up with our integrity personally and collectively, and deal with the things that we are out of alignment with. And this Saturn-Pluto conjunction that's starting a whole new 34-year cycle is about a 2-year process that it is kicking off. And these are the things that are necessary to be addressed before we can move further. And so, as I said, I just want to say that. So the planet Uranus, which is about awakening and change, is in Aries, and it is squaring these planets, some of these planets in Capricorn. And Uranus and Aries is these bold new ideas and ways of moving forward. And so I can correlate that with the new Congress that is coming in, these new young progressive people. They're not all young, but with some progressive ideas and ways to move forward and to address these issues that so desperately need to be addressed. And they are facing the old way of doing things, which is Capricorn. Capricorn has the shadow side of Capricorn is conditioning. It is old conditioning and old patterns and old ways of being. So on a personal level, we'll be challenged to release some old ways of being and old conditioning to move forward with new ideas. And it's happening on a collective level, as we're going to be seeing in Congress. This challenge between kind of the old way and the new way. And on one hand, it is asking us to move forward boldly and progressively. And the Capricorn piece is not just about releasing old ways of doing things. It's also about that way of the hard work, of being meticulous, of having a plan. We can't just jump into it, although, so we need to plan for it. So that is the integration, is moving forward with bold new plans, releasing old ways of being, and yet using those dynamics of planning well for the future. I really think that's what that is saying. And so it's like, for all of us, if anything is worth doing, the Capricorn message is to slow down and do it well. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well, and that is what brings success. So that is the forecast for this January, as well as it's setting the tone for at least the next 6 months and maybe further with all this Capricorn energy. I'll be back on January 20th with the forecast for the lunar eclipse. All right. Goodbye. Namaste.